Hi, welcome to Inside Kate's Kitchen. I'm Kate, and today we're going to capture some of the summer to take into the winter to enjoy there. We're going to make watermelon flavored lemonade. You can see what we have is the sugar, the watermelon, and the lemon juice. And I'm going to take you along as we make it. Our first step is to make our lemon syrup. We have 5½ cups of sugar. This is natural sugar. It's not the bleach stuff. It's pure, it's dried cane sugar. We're going to put that down in our pan. And we're going to turn on our heat to between, my stove goes from 1 to 10 and I put it on 4. I also have 4 cups of lemon juice. We're going to put that in here. Go. This is fresh squeezed lemon juice that I squeezed this afternoon, so I would have it for this. And the recipe says to add them together in a pan and stir them constantly on medium to low heat until the sugar is dissolved. So that's what we're going to do. This is going to take a while. Sugar is not melting too quickly, and of course it's on a low heat, so it's not heating up, which would encourage the sugar to melt as well. So I thought while I was doing this, I would share some of the other things I did this afternoon to get ready. I will show you pictures of it later because I can't stop stirring. I'm supposed to stir continuously until this stuff melts. But I'm going to preserve it in pint jars, and right over here is my water bath canner. And I have 9 pint jars in there. They're clean. I scrubbed them real well and rinsed them real well and then put them in the water in the canner. The temperature right now under the canner is on low. It's set on number 1 so that I can keep the jars warm. That's really all I'm attempting right now is to keep them warm. And the reason I put them in there with the water will keep the jars warm, but then as I get ready to fill the jars, once I get this all made, I'll take each jar out and dump the water back inside the canner and then fill it with the lemonade, put the lid on it and put it back in there, and it will displace the water and it will slowly build up because right now the water is in there but it's not covering the tops of the jars, and in order to water bath can you have to cover your jars by at least 1 inch to 2 inches of water. So as we fill the jars and place them back in there, the water will be displaced and it will fill up and cover the jars properly. Now the main reason why I'm keeping the jars in there and keeping them warm is because the lemonade mixture, the concentrate that we're going to can, will be hot because we're melting the sugar. And we're going to add the lemonade to that. We keep the jars warm so that when we add the hot lemonade concentrate, the jars will be hot and it won't cause a break. The other thing I did today was I cut up a large watermelon. I sliced it and I cut the green peel off of the outside of it. It was a seedless watermelon, which was very nice. I didn't have to worry about gathering the seeds away. I chopped it up into small pieces and I have it behind me on the island where we will do the next step once this is done. And that is I will take all those pieces of watermelon, put them into my blender and puree them, and then I will put them through a strainer to get any seeds that might be in there and a lot of the pulp out so that this will be a delicious drink, but it won't be full of pulp. I'm told that I can save the pulp, freeze it into ice cube trays and make ice cubes, and then when I have sweet tea and I want something a little bit different, I can put a cube or 2 of that watermelon pulp in with the sweet tea and make myself some sweet watermelon tea. So I will probably do that as well. That's what we have coming up. We'll get this melted. We will puree the watermelon, pull out some of the pulp, and then mix it all together and put it in the jars and can it. So I'll bring you back when this is ready to go. Our lemon juice and sugar have now, the sugar has been dissolved. So our next step is to take all of that chopped up watermelon bring it over here and put it in this thing and puree it. So that's what we'll do next. And here we go. Now it's pureed. We'll switch places with the second bowl. What I've done is I've put a strainer in the bowl. Take the lid off. And we're going to pour this through the strainer and try and capture any seeds that might be in there and most of the pulp. That way I have something to make my watermelon pulp ice cubes out of, so that I will be able to enjoy that as well. That's one less thing that would go bad in this process. I have also sliced up and set aside the peel for the watermelon. And I'm hoping tomorrow to make some watermelon pickles, watermelon rind pickles. So that'll be the next step. Okay, now let's put this over and get the next bunch of watermelon in the blender. Now we puree this up and put it through, and we'll keep doing that until we have 12 cups of watermelon juice, and I'll bring you back. As it turns out, 12 cups of watermelon juice is a lot more than I thought it was going to be. I have my lemon juice and sugar in here, and the sugar is all dissolved. So now we're going to add our watermelon juice. I have 8 cups in this and 4 cups in another measure over there. And we're just going to pour it in, trying not to splash, trying not to make a big old mess. And there we have all of our watermelon in with it. And I'm going to turn the heat back on to 5, which is medium. And we'll bring it up almost to a simmer. Once it's up almost to a simmer, then I will start filling my hot jars, and I'll bring you back when that's ready. Our juice is warm enough, our bottles are still warm. It's time to fill the jars. Move it over here close. I'm going to fill it up to the very bottom ring around the neck of the jar. And what I'm trying to do is get as little of the bubbles and the foam as I can in each jar, because I think it really looks a lot prettier that way. Now, when you're canning, always, 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 when you have your jar ready to put the lid on, there we go, always wipe around the rim and the threads of your jar with a paper towel that's been dipped in vinegar. That stops any sugars, or if you're doing something with oils or fats, any of the oils or fats from settling on the glass. It also gives you one last chance to test the edge of the jar to be sure there are no nicks. Then you get yourself a canning lid and set it down like that. And you take a ring and set it over the top. Now this is something I want you guys to know. You turn this down on there until it moves the jar. Once it moves the jar, that's called fingertip tight. You don't want to go any tighter than that, because you don't want it to start siphoning. So you lift it up. Always make sure that your jar lifter comes under that ring, and you set it back down in the water. pull out the next jar. Turn the water to the side so you can pour the water out of the jar without burning yourself. And repeat. I'm going to fill the jar. See if I can get a lot of that foam out of the way. Right up to the edge. Move my funnel out of the way. Take my paper towel and dip it in the little bowl of vinegar I have right to the side. I hold on to it so it don't knock it over while I'm trying to clean the threads. There we go. Grab a lid. Now those are not simmering or hot or anything like that. I keep it in the water so that I'm sure they're clean. And you set it down, and you turn it, you see it started to move. Then you grab, I usually do it just a slight bit tighter, but not much. Then pick it up under the rim of the jar again, and lower it into the water, and get ready for the next one. And I will bring you guys back when I have all the jars ready and in the pan. We have all the jars in and the water is heating up. I had turned it down very low to let it cool off a little while I was filling the jars so that I wouldn't burn myself when I put the jars back in. It turns out there are 9 pints and 3 half pints. I'm going to use the half pints for gifts. And we're going to wait for the water to come up to a boil. And then we're going to let it boil there for 25 minutes. It doesn't need to be pressure boiled because of all the lemon and the sugar. But after it's boiled for 25 minutes, we'll bring you back and show you what's next. Processing time is finished, and I've just turned the heat off under the canner. I'm now going to open it up and we'll take the jars out. Always use a jar lifter. It's just too easy to get burned otherwise. Also, when you take them out of the canner, don't tip them. Take them straight up and out. Don't want to cause any problems. And the water that might be on top will dissipate. It won't stay on the top like that. It's hot and it'll just go away. So all you have to do is just lift these out. Now, as I said, I got 9 pints and I got 3 half pints. I will be using the half pints for gifts. And I'll put the pints on my pantry shelves, and that way this coming winter, when it's cold and dreary outside and I'm ready for a lovely something to remind me of summer, I'll just pull out my pint of watermelon lemonade, pour it into a half gallon of good filtered water, and enjoy my drink. Now, some people would think that this is not quite sweet enough, and that really kind of depends on your taste. But I will say that it's very easy to just add a little bit more sugar when you make it up into the half gallon. Or you can leave it as it is, and those who want it a little sweeter can put the sugar in their glass and mix it that way. I'm really pleased with the color of this stuff. It is quite lovely. Now, the one thing I did not tell you when I put everything in the canner was I took the leftover vinegar that I used to stop up to clean off the tops with, and I poured it in there. And the reason I did that is because we have very, very hard water where I live, and it makes a terrible white film all over the jars. But if I just dump that little bit of vinegar in there, then the jars come out nice and clean looking, and all I have to do is rinse them off when I check to be sure that all the buttons have popped down and that there is a good vacuum. I will cover these up, and I'll leave them sit there for 12 to 24 hours. When the time is up and it has been sitting, I will uncover them. I will remove the rings and test to be sure that it has made a good seal. Then I'll wash them off, dry them off, put a label on them, and they'll be done. Thank you very much for joining me. I hope to see you again real soon, and I hope you enjoy watermelon lemonade concentrate. Bye.